Do you feel like your life day to day is just total chaos? Or that you never really get the total downtime to rejuvenate and recuperate? Or that your nervous system is just constantly on 10 out of 10? Well, today's episode is for you. I'm going to share something that I actually teach on in my programs when it comes to managing not only our time, but our energy. Welcome to the Nomad CEO podcast. I'm Kenz, your host, and today I'm in Idaho. I'm actually about to fly out to Florida here in a few hours, and I'm excited to record this episode with you today. Now, today's a very full day. I have a program that's starting. I am traveling across the country. I have all these little nitty-gritty things. I worked out, yada, yada. And yet I feel steady, clear, ready to tackle the day with so many things going on. And that is because of what I'm going to share with you. I would imagine if you're listening to this podcast, you have heard of the power of a morning and nightly routine. I'm going to dive into that deeper though. And I call it in our program, elite edges, the edges of your day, the beginning and the end. And I'm a firm believer that regardless of if the middle of your day constantly changes in your life, where you're up, down, all around, flying across the world, pulled a million different directions, depending on all the hats that you wear in your life, that truly having that morning check-in with yourself and that evening check-in with yourself, in my belief, is our responsibility. That truly, even if you have kids, even if you run a multi-million-dollar organization, even if you're wearing so many hats you don't know what to do with, you still have the power and autonomy for yourself to carve out time when you first wake up and when you finally go to sleep. Those elite edges. Now, I'm not going to talk about it has to be this length of time or you have to do these specific things. All I'm saying is having the routine that's the same every single morning and the same every single evening is going to help you feel so calm and clear, even if the middle of your day is chaos. And I also believe from personal experience and coaching many people over the years that the more dialed in these routines get, the more that our edges are strong and clear and stable and consistent, that it starts to bleed into the middle of the day. Now, I'm a living example of continual change. I'm traveling across the world all the time. I'm in different time zones constantly. However, for 10 plus years now, I have been rigid and regimented on my morning and nightly routine, especially the morning. For me, just how I'm wired, the type of sleeper that I am. And just a little side note on that, we sleep in the middle of those, right? Our morning and nightly routine. We're all different sleepers. There's different type of sleep chronotypes. And I actually just shared on this in our Earn Your Edge program when I talked about sleep. You could be a lion, you could be a dolphin, you could be a bear, or you could be a wolf. And that's just an example for the type of sleeper that you are. When do you naturally wake up without an alarm? When do you find yourself wanting to go to bed? When do you have the most energy and creativity? When do you feel the best in what time of day to exercise? What time of day is most optimal for you to have caffeine if you consume it? And so it's understanding yourself from that lens. I think of it a little bit like a personality test for your sleep, just to understand yourself more. It's a framework to work from. It's not a label to limit you. And once you know that or have more clarity on how you're wired, and you don't even have to take a test, it's something that I offer in our programs. You could simply just reflect of, when do I naturally wake up? When do I naturally fall asleep? Now, you might already be thinking, well, I have kids, or I have X, or I have Y, or I have Z going on. I hear you. I understand. We all have something, and what a blessing to have a full life. What a blessing to wear so many different hats. Let that go if that's going on in your mind right now, and tune in. And perhaps it's on a weekend. Maybe it was 5 years ago, but reflect on that time that you knew what your circadian rhythm looked like and what your sleep life was like. Because when you're aware of that, it's going to help you leverage the beginning of your day and the end of your day that much better. Now, a couple things when it comes to setting your routine. I'm a firm believer in quote unquote cleaning up mentally before we go to bed, putting our brain on paper or connecting with a loved one, something where we can leave the day on that day in the calendar. Anything that's holding us down, anything that maybe set us off or whatever it might have looked like, to be able to release it. Because when we sleep, we are processing, we're skill consolidating, we're memory creating, our body's recovering. I mean, so many things are happening when we sleep. So if you consciously let go of that, or at least find a way to release it, then subconsciously your body will recover better overnight. versus if you've been tossing and turning because you're carrying something or dwelling on something. And trust me, I was queen of this. I was queen of dwelling for so many years. And it was just, quite frankly, I just lacked mental discipline. I just did not discipline my own mind. And so having a practice where you can release, where you can let go mentally, emotionally. And I also believe in a practice where you can let go physically. Now, this could be, say, a beauty routine, skincare, something like that, where you're winding down and you're rubbing off the dirt on your face for the day. Maybe not dirt, but there's stuff that gets on our face out there that we may not be able to see. So cleaning that up. Taking a shower, right? Calming down, setting the lights down, the temperature down in your space. Also physically though, breathing, letting it go, exhaling. When we exhale, we release. Right. And I love the visualization aspect of breathing, where as you're breathing in what you want, you're bringing that into your body and training your nervous system to go after that. And then you're exhaling what you don't want. You're releasing it. You're allowing your cells to send it back out. You don't want that energy in you anymore. Right. I believe that those practices, just super simple, right? Of your letting go of something mentally and emotionally, you're releasing physically. And I do believe if you live with other people, you have a family, connecting with them each night, giving them a hug, a kiss, laughing, even if it's 5 minutes, looking them in the eyes. I did this little side story. I did this exercise, if you will, at this event I was at in Austin a couple weeks ago. And the very first night, there was a room full of 30 of us in there, and we all just met for the most part. I knew a couple people before. And the man that ran the seminar, Jace Souter, a good friend of mine, he was narrating this a little bit, but really we all sat across from each other and we couldn't talk. And he played this beautiful music. And all we could do, and it was probably 4 or 5 songs, and we rotated chairs every song or so, was look into the eyes of the person sitting across from us. No words, just eyeball to eyeball. And it was really interesting. It's actually something I personally am pretty comfortable with, maintaining eye contact. I used to not be. I was just so insecure and so anxious. And it was really exposing for those of us in the room that were comfortable with that, and those that weren't. And it was healing. I know for me in the past when I worked on that, so healing to allow myself to be seen, to see myself first. I would practice this in the mirror. I'd look in my own eyes and tell myself, I love you, Mackenzie, be butt naked and all my glory, and just say, I accept you as you are. And I did this at a time that I wasn't the leanest in my life. And I was like, I'm going to love you, who I see in this mirror, this body that I have, this woman that I am, how I am today. And I'm going to love myself to the next level, not beat myself up to it. I tried that for too long and it did not work. It didn't sustain itself. It was exhausting. And so this eye contact in this room, in this setting, was so beautiful and so healing. And Jace was narrating, imagine this person sitting across from you that's there. And then imagine that this is, someone that you love in your life or someone you lost. And it was just such a beautiful exercise. And it got me thinking, like, man, how many times in our life do we actually create space for that? And I believe, whether it's not every night, maybe it is, creating space with your loved ones, if they're in your home, or if you see them before you go back to yours and go to bed, to really look in their eyes and let them really look into yours. Those things are healing. Those things are powerful. They might sound woo or crazy, but don't knock it till you try it, my friends. The power of a nightly routine. And I believe that when our nightly routine is set up and we know our sleep patterns, we know that, I'll share more on that in the future in regards to sleep, then we can wake up with more clarity. We wake up when, ideally, we wake up without an alarm. I know it's not everyone's life. If you can do that on the weekends, whatever that looks like for you, awesome. But wake up when we're rested, we're done sleeping. We've gone through our sleep cycles, 4, 5, 6 of those 90-minute cycles through those 4 stages of sleep. And we wake up, ideally before our alarm, if you do have an alarm, but wake up. And if you do wake up by your alarm, then not hitting snooze and getting out of bed. For me, the magic time that I've found over the years is 6:50 in the morning. I love 6:50 a.m. Now, I'm also in the position where most of the time outside of the days that I travel, I can sleep in. I've built a life where, and I don't sleep in per se. I wake up around that time every day, most days rather, and my body's set to that. But I wanted to build a life that it wasn't an alarm that woke me, it was my body. And so waking up around that 6:50, I like that because it gives me 10 minutes to go to the restroom, fill up my water, put all my creatine, electrolytes, all that yada yada in there, and get on a walk and go outside for about 10 or so minutes. And I like to put my feet in the grass, depending where I am in the world and what's available, get the sunlight on me before I've had coffee, I do not check my phone. And it is so powerful at that exercise. Now, you don't have to do that exact thing. I'm just saying, when you wake up in the morning, And if you feel like you're a 10 out of 10 on stress, then something's got to change in our life, right? And I've been there. Trust me. I have been there. I think we all can get there. And it's not a shame to get there. It's just saying, if I get there, how do I get back from there? Because that stress is the first indicator of so many compounding health issues from there in our life. So, anyways, I digress. Having something where it's predictable, we know what it fills our cup right away. I believe that having peace, not checking your phone. I use an app called Opal. I pay $100 a year for it. It's the best $100 I could probably spend in the year. That blocks my social media. It doesn't come on until 9 a.m. And even then, I take that back. I do not disturb on my phone until 9 a.m. with text messages, all that kind of stuff. And then I have social media blocked all the time personally on my phone. And then I can unblock it. I have to wait 5 seconds to 50 plus seconds, depending on how many times I'm blocking in the day in the app. And then I can check it for 15 minutes. And so that just works for me. But nonetheless, it's so important, I think, to start our morning just calm and to consciously choose our thoughts to go in the direction that we want to go. And so as I'm on my walk, I notice, okay, what was the last conversation I had the night before? What's maybe something I'm working on in my life that's taking up a lot of capacity? That's usually the things shifting and bouncing around in my brain. And I choose to calm through my breath and get outside and be present and not distracted and just think, okay, and for me, I pray. And I pray on the things that might be I'm working through that I may try to take control of, or I'm pushing hard to achieve, or whatever it might be. And for me, I have found that starting my day in that surrender to say, okay, this is what I pray happens today. This is my plan for what will happen today, and so on and so forth. And I just pray that my heart's right and that I show up with the energy that's needed in the conversations that I have. And I do what I need to do to fill my own cup so that I can be present in the lives of others. And it's so crazy because for me, it's about an hour. And sometimes when I'm going through tougher stuff, it might be a little longer. And sometimes when life's full, it might be a little shorter. It might be 45 minutes, might be 30 minutes. Every once in a while, it's like 15. And that's pretty few and far between these days. Because even still, like I will book my flights, I will book my travel and my meetings and everything and my sleep so that I can have that hour in the morning, that power hour. So getting up and moving, I love to come back and do mobility. And depending on the season is I might have, say, an adrenal cocktail where I have more adaptogens and herbs and things in there that help fuel my body. Or I might have some hot lemon water, or sometimes I may have some coffee with MCT oil and collagen in it. And then for me, I will read. I read the Bible, you can read whatever you want, and I journal. I just believe in the power of movement, getting outside, giving our body the nutrients that it needs, water, super important. And then having a practice where I think journaling is really powerful for a lot of people, or you can put input into your brain. So then you're starting to rev up mentally and emotionally. You're starting to get your brain, more aligned with your day. And the physical component is preparing your body. Like if you've never had an early morning mobility routine or even just walking, man, that alone can change your life because movement, we feel through movement. Movement creates emotion. Movement empowers emotion. And when we move, we release dose hormones and many more. Dose is dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, endorphins. Those are all related to our feel-goodness. Feel-goodness. Yep, exactly. I was looking for another word other than happy, and that's what came out. So there we have it. But truly, and then when you're good to start your day, right? Like, okay, my cup is filled. I have poured in already. So now when I go out into the world and I go to my relationships, I go to my business, I go to my family, I go to work, whatever that is, you have something to give that's fresh. Something to give that is fresh. And you have these elite edges where you become an elite you. And if you're watching on YouTube, you see my background. When you have elite health, you can be your elite self. And that is what I believe. And that's what these edges can do for us, these morning and nightly routines. There's so many books out on this, Power of Sleep to Power of a Morning Routine. I know I read Miracle Morning and the 5 a.m. Club. Those are the first couple that come to mind when it comes to morning routines that really help me understand how to build proper morning routine that would add fuel to my fire, if you will, each day. And it is a non-negotiable for me. Like it is absolutely non-negotiable. I build my life around those routines. And so I share that with you. If you've never been in those, consider starting small with 10 minutes or one activity in the morning and one activity in the evening. Keep it simple. I didn't start with 15 things, that I would do. It started with one. Keep it simple, compound. You're going to live the next year of your life, whether you work on this or not. So why not take a month at a time and work on little things and then anchor those habits in and boom, your life's totally radically different a year from now. You can show up more managed throughout the day. I will say this. A few years ago, I was going through kind of a rough patch and I got out of this routine a little bit and I noticed and I was actually in a place that had mold exposure, by the way. That's another conversation, reflecting back on the impact on your emotions. But I noticed the days that I didn't do my morning routine, I was so much more emotionally reactive than proactive and calm and responsive. And that really reminded me of, wow, this is a non-negotiable. For Mackenzie to show up in the world the best that she can every single day, she has to do this. And so I encourage you, if you're currently in those routines, then heck freaking yeah, how can you fine tune them so they're even better, right? And give yourself a pat on the back for being consistent in it, because you know already that, yeah, if the morning and evening are the same every day, the middle of your day can change and you can handle it, right? Because you've put on your pack, if you will, for the day, and you're prepared with what you might need. So I hope this blesses you today. Much love. Continue to follow along. I just have to say, I'm so excited. We have another cohort literally right after I'm done recording this in our Earn Your Edge program for Elite Edge that is starting today. I think we have about 15 people in it, perfect size, and it's so exciting. So much love. Have a great day. Enjoy your nightly routine tonight and your morning routine tomorrow. All right. Much love, my friends. Bye-bye.